What's going on, guys? Davis Hirsch here from Hirsch Power Garage. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing y'all how to install spark plugs and coil packs on a 2016 or newer Mazda Miata. We are going to be doing this because we'll be turbocharging the car, so if you do want to see more of that content, feel free to subscribe. First things first, we're going to have the negative terminal on the battery disconnected, and we're going to have to go ahead and pop this little trim piece off. It's simply just a grommet here and a grommet here. It'll pop right off. You don't have to use any bolts or anything. To get the coil packs loose, we are going to have some push clamps right here. So just push down on this and then you'll be able to pull back. But before we go ahead and do this, you need to basically clean off your valve cover, because let's say you have some sand up here or dirt or whatever, is situated up here, especially not bolts. Once you pull these coil packs off, that could fall right into the motor, and we do not want to have that happen. So regardless of how clean you think your car is, just give this a wipe down. I am going to go ahead and use just a DeWalt blower or something like that to get all the sand off, and then I'm going to follow up with a little brush to get the last bit of stuff sitting there. But this is a little overkill, but it's going to be so worth it to essentially save ourselves a lot of money. So let's go ahead and get started with that, and then I'll follow up afterwards. After we've got the valve cover blown off, what we're going to go ahead and do is remove these two bolts that will hold the strut tower bar in place. These are going to be two 14 millimeters. Obviously, we've already got that removed, but you'll go ahead and take care of that. So that will allow you better access to this 8 mil right here. So we're gonna have 4 8 millimeters. These are already loose. I broke them loose off camera. Before we can start pulling these plugs, keep in mind we have to get this one removed. It's just gonna be a little pinch clamp. You'll push down on that, slide that right out. Same will apply to the other clips, although it will be a little bit harder. And keep in mind that once you go ahead and remove these, we are going to make sure that they stay clean. I'm going to get a clean paper towel for these to sit on. Once I've removed them, just like that. After you've got the coil packs removed and set aside, we're going to move forward with removing the plugs that are currently in place. So you're going to need a long extension with either a 14 millimeter deep socket or a equivalent 9/16 socket. So I'm going to go ahead and get this inserted down in there and make sure it's set properly so I can feel it's on now. And then, of course, we are going to break these free, just like that. I can feel it's loose. Coming on out now. Seeing as this is not a spark plug socket, the plug isn't going to come out with it. So what I'm going to do now is get my little magnet tool to reach in there and pull the spark plug out. As you can see here, our original plugs are definitely not in the best condition. I'm sure they've seen better days. This is only a 2021 with about 25,000 miles on it, but compared to the new plugs, it is a night and day difference. So we're gonna go ahead and get these unboxed and make sure they're indexed properly, and then we'll go ahead and install them. To get your new plugs installed, what I've decided to do is, since I don't have a dedicated spark plug socket, I'm gonna use my little magnet thing right here. I've added a layer of duct tape because as I tried this before, when I tried to pull out my magnet, it was still so strong that the plug would stay there. So the duct tape is acting as kind of a layer of resistance between the two, where I have enough strength to hold the plug on, but it isn't so strong that when I need it to remove, it won't come off. Obviously, if you have the perfect tool, you shouldn't need to do this. But, yep, and that worked just fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that with the rest of the plugs before I even start hand tightening them. Now that all the spark plugs are in, what we're gonna go ahead and do is a little trick to make sure that they're not cross-threaded, and that is gonna be done by essentially reversing the plug until you feel it click a little bit. That is hopefully gonna kind of reset the position, shall we say. If you're doing this much work on a car, you probably know what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna put my socket in there, and I could just start turning to tighten it right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and reverse it until I feel the plug kind of like drop down. So, yep, and so now I know the threads are in the proper orientation, and I'm gonna go ahead and thread this entire thing just with my hand before I even put a ratchet on it, just because the amount of work that would have to occur if I did mess this up is just too much to take that risk, shall we say. So like I said, we're gonna go ahead and tighten this down. I can feel it getting a little bit snug right now, and that is gonna be good for that one. Some people say you should put some anti-seize on these before threading them in. It's up for debate. We live in South Carolina where we don't have to deal with rust or kind of crazy weather, shall we say. So I did not, but keep that in mind if you do live in an area like that. Just now, as I showed y'all, I first hand tightened the spark plugs just because I wanted to make sure they weren't gonna get cross-threaded. Afterwards, I went ahead and tightened them all to 11 foot-pounds before following it up and maxing them out at around 15 to 17 foot-pounds. This, of course, if you were gonna be replacing or changing your coil packs, is when you put the new ones in. We're not gonna be doing that, so we're just gonna reuse the original ones. I'm gonna make sure to put them in the same order that they were removed. Obviously, you can't really mix up the wires because of how the harnesses ran, but we're gonna go ahead and do that now, and then we will tighten down the 8mm bolts for the coil pack, and we'll be good to go. Thanks for watching, guys. If you do want to see more Miata content, as I mentioned at the start, we are doing a full turbo kit series on this car, so feel free to stay tuned for that if you do want to keep up with our content. Additionally, I am currently doing a full gutted restoration on this 1990 NA6 Miata with only 40,000 miles. So if you do want to see that content, I've got those playlists linked in the description below. Additionally, my channel is not yet monetized, so if you do want to support me, feel free to do so. I have links to my Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo as well. But once again, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate all the support lately, and if you do have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comments as I reply to all of them. All right, see you guys.